Let's go into game 2 then and see if SpaceStation can try and even this one up, or will eUnited run away with this first set this week?
SpaceStation did get that Artio and didn't find the victory with it, though ScaryD did a really good job in that game. I mean, never really got a chance to impact it necessarily, but held the lane against the Sun Wukong and made an impact on the rotations where he could.
Is it the second time so far Artio's lost, or is it more than that?
Yes, I believe.
Definitely 2.
Yes, I believe. Kalos lost with it in the Dignitas rival set.
Useless.
And now ScaryD.
Useless. Scotty, Terra, Kamazots. eUnited have the chance to ban Artio. Don't choose to do it either. Okay. So neither of these teams are respecting the Artio.
I mean, SpaceStation was in first pick last time. It was
Same
left
again.
open,
Okay,
and they
that
picked
makes sense.
So eUnited going to give them the opportunity to do it again, and they will. And if I'm SpaceStation, I'm happy with that.
Terra Hoi?
Terra Hoi, yeah. I mean, it could be Terra. What did they pick? They picked Terra and
Chulainn was
something else. I don't remember. Exactly
Chulainn was banned last time round. It can't be Terra Hoi because Terra's banned, that's why. Chulainn was banned out last time round, so there's going to be a switch up for that. But it's still going to be the same sort of composition here. Obviously, it might not be Terra, obviously Terra not support this time, but Chulainn could go solo or jungle.
I imagine it's probably going to be either jungle or solo. I don't think we're going to be seeing Chulainn support anytime soon. Jing Wei, the pick. I think this is in response to PandaCat playing aggressive in this duo lane. Jing Wei has that option of using agility to get away from the dive bomb knockup, so it really limits what Hou can do offensively. I like this idea, but it's the same sort of thing where it's a low pressure hunter at the beginning, and Zap probably going to be left alone with that Jing Wei.
So it's very, very similar to last time round, realistically here. Osiris again could be in the solo lane, could be in the jungle again. Artio could solo or support. We'll see if they do mix things up, because I think SpaceStation is going to mix something up here. I don't think they can run it back exactly the same with just a change to, to Jing Wei instead of Apollo.
I agree. I think that Osiris is probably going to go solo this time around, and Artio will go jungle or will go support. But could be wrong. I wouldn't be too surprised if Artio goes solo again, because I really think Scary wasn't part of the issue there for SpaceStation. But I really don't know if I want to see Homie on that Osiris in the jungle again.
Well, they're going to ban Toth themselves this time round, and Fafnir for eUnited. That kind of shows me that they might be looking for potential double auto attackers here. So Kronos available, so Sol. They could look with that with the Fafnir too.
Yeah. I think that that's a really smart choice. And Scylla for andinster, one of his signature mid laners. He's really enjoyed this god ever since he moved out of the jungle and into the mid lane. And it's going to be Sobek. So I think it might be Sobek support, Artio solo. That's my guess.
Well, we'll see what happens when we get into that game. eUnited with the final pick, though. I'm expecting Solo Kronos here. Nox, okay. So they're actually using Fafnir to empower Nemesis and Chulainn more as well, which does work out quite well.
It does.
A lot of their magical damage, though, is resting on Nox, which is a very tricky one to deal with. You don't want the abilities, you're not doing damage very easily.
Exactly, and there's not a ton of setup between eUnited and SpaceStation here. So, or for eUnited's roster, I should say, for that Nox in the mid lane, you're looking at Fafnir Hammer and Chulainn knockup and Hou stun. I mean, not a ton in terms of setup for this Nox, usually paired with things like Athena and Thor and Erlong Shen, stuff that's guaranteed range CC that you can really hit multiple people off of at times, but just trusting Venenu to hit that combo all on his own for the most part. So
Hog for both solo laners yet again. We're seeing that rise in the solo lane position, not in the jungle so far. See how that continues as the games progress this split, because at the moment it's still early days, and I think the one thing about the first weekend aggro is everybody comes in with an idea.
Yep.
And everyone tries to execute their idea, and then they reflect on everybody else's ideas too. And eventually by the end of week 2, you've normally got a consensus of what is meta.
Yes,
as it stands.
It takes a little bit of time, and remember, most of these teams end up scrimming 1 or maybe 2 teams in preparation for the start of the fall split. So they develop their own little meta, and then they get to see what everyone else is doing.
ScaryD in a bit of trouble there, I say, but then Benji's the one that's taking more brunt of the damage. Obviously, ScaryD has 2 abilities, and one of those is a sustain, and then you've got Homiefe, who's just going to cleave for till the cows come home if he can. But ScaryD's getting low, has to turn into bear again. Benji just looking for the Berserk form at level 1, remember. That can cause some problems too. The Rage is going to come through very soon. A Scream had to beads there as well. Forced back a SpaceStation. ScaryD's still very low. No one done any buffs just yet.
Yeah, this is a fight that really should have been in SpaceStation's favor, but now that Benji's got that rage meter built up that far up, SpaceStation realizes they cannot continue that fight. I really like the idea to fight, though, at level 1 between Scaredy and Homiefe. It just a little bit of target splitting.
Yep.
Homie couldn't get to where Screammmmm or where Benji was, so it was just a little bit awkward at times, but with Osiris and Artio, I think that's the right fight to take.
Couple of pressure points onto Scaredy now, though, because he did use his multi-potions all the way through now, as you can see, so he's completely out of potions, which means that you can try and poke him down a little bit more. He's going to have to use just a sustain in his kit to survive this laning phase against Benji as well, who's playing Chulainn. That is anti-heal in his kit as well.
That's true. The spear does provide you with 50% anti-heal, so Artio does need to be a little bit worried about that, but as long as Scaredy gets the blue buff, not worried about his sustain at all. He just needs to make sure that SpaceStation get that buff for him, otherwise that's where issues could arise.
So now SpaceStation will go into their own jungle to clear it out, but Screammmmm and Benji didn't take too long to do that, so Benji can walk around and have a little gander into the enemy jungle and go, hey guys, what's up? I'm level 3, you guys are level 2, and that's going to force Sobek and Scylla over to this right-hand side as well to support. You can actually see andinster picked up the speed buff there himself, worried about losing that.
I think I would have rather seen SpaceStation pull that blue buff and try and bait Benji in, because Screammmmm had already bounced. He was heading towards his own jungle to farm up right side back camps, and maybe if you bait Benji in with the pressure that you have from mid, you're either going to get that buff a little bit quicker because Benji won't be there to try and steal it away. He'll have backed up by then, or you could potentially claim first blood for yourself, because there's no way that Nox is going to outpush anyone in the mid lane at 2 minutes in.
So the SpaceStation game plan is pressure in mid, pressure in solo lane, leaves Zapman 2v1. Seems to be the call, and I like the adjustment they made by giving him Jing instead, because if he does get pressured out, he can always come back very quickly with that passive and get superior farm.
Exactly. He doesn't have to worry about getting poked out this time and can continue to farm those back camps as he really liked to do in game number 1. Plus, as I mentioned during picks and bans, a lot of what he wants to do offensively is jump on top of you to guarantee the ricochet. Can't do that against Jing. The agility will let her get out of there fairly easily.
Well, Zapman should know that around the back comes Fafnir, because he's got Jigz telling him that, but he's still going to get hit by the hammer here. Mark of the Crow on, no ricochet from PandaCat just yet, obviously. As PolarBearMike will eat a tail whip, nothing more to talk about there, but on the right-hand side, Benji could be in a bit of trouble here. Caught between a rock and a hard place. He's got a rotation coming, and SpaceStation would rather get the farm of the elementals, which makes sense if they can.
But Benji has his ultimate, does use it there as the elementals go SpaceStation's way, but they get out the beads from Homiefe. That's the real key, because whenever you have beads, Nox, not a scary character. You've got him, you can do all of her damage.
I mean, while you've got them available, yeah, but when they're on cooldown, there's not much else you can do. Nice route from Andy getting both of them, because Screammmmm just ran right towards the direction of that damage. So far, no kills again, and it's a very similar tempo to last game, in my opinion.
Both of these teams comfortable with themselves in the late game. Again, a bunch of veterans on both sides, and most veterans are willing to take the game late because they have the experience of playing those later stages.
Scariest thing is when you look at his Venenu, who's the lowest in terms of experience on any of these teams, I'd say.
Yes, and even he is fairly experienced. Yeah, he was part of Allegiance during Season 3, spent some time with a lot of veterans on that Oxygen Supremacy team that made a phenomenal run at that Gauntlet LAN, and that was big LAN experience for Venenu as well, who had only been to the group stage LAN during Season 3 before that, and he had a phenomenal showing, so you know he's got that in him if this team can get to LAN.
And I will say this is a big step for Venenu too, because there's a lot of pressure on him here, because he's the technically least experienced member of this roster, I'd say, and the least experienced in a mid lane position too. It's a lot to step up to. You play Morrigan and Nox, you're really showing your worth.
And he's got the God pool. I mean, look at what he played whenever he was on Oxygen.
Sure.
The Vulcan, the Chiron, things like that. We watched him in the Challenger Cup. He was playing a lot of stuff there as well. This is a guy who has put the time in to become a really strong mid laner. As soon as he got dropped from Allegiance, he basically went straight to practicing the mid lane and trying to dedicate himself to that role, and it's really paid off for him.
Absolutely even game as it stands right now, outside of Zapman being slightly ahead of PandaCat, but he's got a full minion wave there, and so that should even things up sooner rather than later. Scaredy will get his blue buff as Benji continues claiming the wave, and SpaceStation looking at these elementals again, but there's a big rotation coming for those two, so they're going to have to give up on it. And Venenu can't find the route he was after, but he does buy enough time for eUnited to get the big elemental.
Only reason Ven gets to play that aggressive there is because he knows that both Jigz and Homie are susceptible to his combo. Neither had CC and immunity available in order to get out of it because Homie didn't have his beats.
A lot of pressure to Scaredy on this right-hand side now as the ult does come through from Screammmmm as well as Benji. And I tell you what, you might be a big old tanky bear, but when you get shredded by a Nemesis, that'll put you to bed.
That is what Artio can. That is how you punish Artio right there. That dash is not slow, I would say, but it's certainly not quick, and it's very telegraphed. So really smart play there from Benji. Interrupt that dash, and once you interrupt the dash, Artio is pretty much a sitting duck for that Nemesis ult. Good identification. Instead of just being like, well, Artio is insane, we can't really do anything against her, you figure out a way to beat her, and that's what you do there.
Oh, nice play from andinster there to put some pressure back. Obviously, because he had to sidestep the silence, he couldn't get the crush off in time.
And that's because PolarBearMike had a perfectly timed hammer. Stun out andinster to make sure that crush wasn't coming through. Heads up play by PBM, potentially saving his mid laner's life.
Yeah, Venenu was in a little bit of a tricky situation now, but you can see what Venenu's looking for. He's looking for the damage. If he hits the 2-1 combination we're so used to, the silence into root, someone's at least at half health.
Plus, he's looking for the control, the CC immunity to pull that out of andinster, force him into those beads. If you can get that in a 1v1 scenario, that means next time PBM shows up, andinster is ready and waiting for that combo, which would certainly result in a kill. So Venenu playing aggressive there, as long as he stays safe from that crush, should be okay, but getting to the point where he's not going to be able to do that much longer.
Zapman did keep an eye on the map a little bit late there, I'd say. He had the wall coverage down and the rotation was coming, but slightly out of position for a second. These two have been boxing away in this lane. I know we've not tuned in recently, but you can just keep an eye on those health bars on the bottom left and your right hand side of your screen. You can just see that they keep going up and down as they keep boxing away, and eventually they'll all stay full with these Devourer's gauntlets they're both working on.
And that's what you expect whenever PandaCat and Zapman go up against one another.
Are they the two most aggressive hunters right now in North America? I'd say so.
In North America, yeah. I would say so for sure. I mean, you look at, Barracuda can play aggressive, but for the most part, we'll just kind of wait for the team fighting phase. I think that these two, or maybe Snoopy likes to play aggressive at times. Those are the guys who are going to try and go at each other.
2v3 on the right-hand side right now going on. You can actually see there's a lot of trouble here for Benji. He's got some support from Scream, though, as they're still trying to dive onto Benji here. ScaryD's doing work as much as he can, but ScaryD's got to turn around, switch to bear stance, get the stun up, and dash away. So a 3v2 scenario becomes naught on the right-hand side.
Andy just couldn't quite connect with that killing blow on the I'm a Monster, and Scream did a good job of making him reconsider staying around with that Nemesis ult as well. If Homie's there, that's certainly a kill for SpaceStation, but just was on the left side of the map whenever that was going on, still trying to prioritize his farm after falling behind so early in game 1. I think he really wants to make a dedicated effort to not having that happen to him here in game 2.
I think SpaceStation's just been looking too much towards the late game every single game so far. Like they're losing the early quite heavily. I mean, this situation not as heavily as before, obviously, but they're quite willing to lose a lot in the early game to try and get to a mid-late game standard. And having an Osiris for the early game in the jungle, I mean, sure, but Homie's really been focused on jungling. He's actually just been farming to try and get stronger and stronger, whereas Scream, he's still further ahead right now.
It's just, I see the idea for SpaceStation's comp. As you mentioned, think late game, and then we need some early game. Yeah, we'll just put Homie on
Throw
Osiris.
Throw an Artio and an Osiris in there.
Exactly, but even the Artio really isn't that early game. That's still mid to late overall because it's a Guardian in the solo lane that's going to make a great impact when it comes to the team fighting phase. It's just that Homie has not been able to put that pressure on because of how much late game is elsewhere in SpaceStation's draft. You really, whenever you watch Obey play the Osiris jungle, they're pairing it with early game almost across the map, except for late game in the dual lane and sometimes late game in mid, but it's almost always an early game solo lane.
Well, Benji's going to ult here to try and keep two of them busy. He's still tethered, however, so that tether will connect. And Benji's in trouble as there's Homiefe committing hard for this kill to Benji. The turnaround could be there, though he can't get the damage over the wall. Homie's still looking for the kill and can't find it. In comes Zap to clean up, however, there's a fight rages on Homiefe. We'll clean up... get cleaned up by Venenu, and I'm a Monster proc by Andy, but there's no further follow-up. It's 1-for-1 exchange, jungler for solo.
Panda marks the wrong target, but still double bounces, and it's their big damage, and Scream is going to find both. Zapman has the ultimate, but he gets knocked up and can't even use it.
And now ScaryD's trying to fight the world pretty much here, trying to pick up Scream at the end. Good stuff from PolarBearMike, and the double shot of the ricochet will allow Venenu to clean up the kill due to the root. 6-1, another team fight that goes eUnited's way. Everyone lived, right? No, Benji died. That was it.
Benji died, but just barely. It took Zap really coming in late in that team fight in order to finish him off. eUnited don't feel like they can do gold here just because of how early Homiefe had respawned and was making his way towards gold, but just kind of the safer call in that scenario. This is starting to look to me like a top-tier team, and this is why. It's the team play that you're saying, wow, that was crazy.
Yeah.
PolarBearMike saves the life of Benji there, or Scream, or whoever was low, because of a perfectly timed stun. But then it's also the insane individual plays that work as team plays. That timing on the stun, the double bounce from PandaCat to continue the CC chain onto Zapman. All these little things that are impressive on a team level and on an individual level. When you start putting those together, you start looking like teams like Dignitas,
Sure.
who everyone's making these really flashy plays, and that comes together into this just incredible conglomeration of team and individual play. And eUnited is starting to look like that.
The biggest problem for eUnited, as I see going through this season, and this is why I've got him as mid-table still, as we watch Benji here knock up 3 and escape over the top of Jigz, but Jigz will pull it back in. Benji's in a bit of trouble here, but with Rage Form, he might be able to get away again thanks to the dash. There it comes. The root won't stop Jigz, though. Jigz may be able to secure this kill, avoiding the Armored Monster out of andinster there, so andinster's forced to reset, but Benji still goes down. Jigz is very low now too. Scream wants to try and clean this one up as Andy over the wall, trying to support, and the root comes into play, but Jigz still in trouble.
Slice and dice will clean him up no matter what, but Scary's caught between 3. Ven gets credit for that, but PandaCat beating Zapman by a large margin over to the solo side.
And as I was about to say, the one issue eUnited has is going to be consistency, because every member of this team here have had issues with being consistent in their performances. If everybody stays on track with how this is looking right now, yes, they could be a dominant NA team, but they've got to keep this consistency going.
Absolutely. Benji, the only one who doesn't really worry about that as much. He's pretty consistent and being really strong.
Oh, Zap could die!
Zap could die here, but the Gold Fury, he got it! PBM stole that?
He did steal it away, and not only that, he forces Zapman back. Homiefe can't do anything. PolarBearMike to the rescue, and Zap gets cleaned up by Scream, rotating him around the back, and now the chase is on for Homie and andinster, but Scream's just going to have a little bit of fun.
Did PBM steal that with an auto? Or a jump? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It was stolen.
Less than 50 damage.
It was stolen.
Less than 50 because Zap ate the hammer.
Now, on top of that, now Benji's going to get tier 1 tower on the right-hand side because Scary D was looking at potentially rotating here, or at least it's one hit.
You want to talk about crazy individual plays. That's it for eUnited. That's how as soon as SpaceStation thinks they can get back into this one, and they would have been back into it with that Gold Fury, PolarBearMike says, no, we're still in this lead.
Well, Benji's going to bring a whole team over to say hello this time around. I don't think he's going to be able to say goodbye other than to get a quick trip back to the fountain this time. 9-3 as Benji overstays his welcome a little bit more there, but he did get the tower, so meh, it's okay.
He did, but he's the only one with any deaths on the side of eUnited and has to recognize that he's actually behind an XP to everyone on his team except for PBM. So
and the enemy team.
And the enemy team. But, you know, on his team at least, he's not going to be that insane frontliner, at least right now. He's got the Gladiator shield now to give him that extra physical protection, though.
Scary D just traded this one out potentially. Now, he's got no tier 1 tower to fall to, and I think that's why Scary D, he ran back in because he's like, you know what? I don't have a tower. I'm being chased down by a Fafnir and a Nemesis. I'm not getting away anyway.
I think it was to try and get maybe juke out the jump. PolarBearMike would probably aim that jump long, try and get back underneath it. Plus, just give his minions that are underneath the tower more time to knock the tower down because, as you mentioned, he knows he's going to fall either way. Regardless, both solo laners caught in the wrong spot, just one after the other.
Oracle's going to go the way of eUnited here. No one to contest from SpaceStation as it stands. SpaceStation now 3 kills, same amount as last game so far. We'll see if they can get any more in this, but it's a 5k gold deficit at less than 15 minutes.
eUnited looking really, really good. Hopes were high for SpaceStation coming into this split, no doubt, but having 2 members change, even though, as I mentioned, the 3v3 core is still the same, and honestly, that's where SpaceStation has lost a lot of their engagements. The key one being game 1, wherever Jigz and Homie get caught together. That shouldn't really have any bearing on it, whether or not you have the same solo and hunter. But overall, it still changes your team dynamic. Your comms still change, everything like that.
Screammmmm nearly got caught in the jungle there by Homiefe, but I don't think he'd be too scared. A quick double dash will get him away as they were both looking towards Benji and Scary G having that duel over there. Jigz rotating back towards mid again. It's basically eUnited kind of doing what they want to do again. This is very similar. It doesn't feel like it's SpaceStation that have been doing the committing. Outside of Homiefe's individual play onto Benji earlier on, most of this fight has been caused by eUnited choosing to aggress.
And that's what you want. You want to play the game on your terms, not let the enemy team dictate it to you, as Zap takes a lot of damage here in mid. Ven, if he had the dash, could have actually sold him there.
Yeah, surprised by that play from Zapman there. He knew he was going to get hit by that by sticking around and still chose to do so. Just trying to get some extra tier 1 tower damage on now. And he's in trouble up against PandaCat. We'll get away for the time being, but with the pressure of Zap going back, 5 men of eUnited can group mid.
But that being said, Zap's Jing Wei. It's not going to take him long to get back.
Big ultimate coming out there from Scream straight away, forcing Andy to go to his ultimate defensively. He may try to get this over the wall and get some damage on, but too little too late. Scary D turns up, however, to push eUnited back for just a second. With Andinster being at low health here, he's got to be careful about positioning. Scream locked below half as there's the ult from PolarBearMike too. eUnited now on the run.
Good fight here for SpaceStation. Homie the first one in, looking for PBM, who doesn't have a jump anymore, but Zap looking to finish him off with the autos. Can't quite do it. Huge 4-man knockup from Benji. Keeps everyone from SpaceStation back.
Nobody dies so far in this fight, but it was a good play from SpaceStation to hold their tier 1 tower, also force eUnited back just for a second. So that's all there is, really. Just a bit of a fight. Keep it on the relics, though. You can see that Zap, both his relics are on cooldown, so it's probably one of the reasons why they don't want to over-aggress too much.
Nice nice pickup on Jiggs' beads there. I didn't even recognize that Jigz had the purification beads. Ends up using them pretty late. Took the full brunt of the damage from the combo from Ven, but ends up meaning that, again, SpaceStation vulnerable to this Nox combo now. 3 of the 5 members, and there are 5 members who have purification beads on SpaceStation, they're on cooldown for more than a minute, some more than 2.
Hey, Aggro.
Hey.
What happened to Shell? We only got 1.
Shell's really good.
Wasn't that the talk of the town? Like,
Yes.
Shelly's love, Shelly's life, right?
Yes. I think that Shell probably would have been a better pickup than Thorns, in particular for Homiefe.
We see the Hand of the Gods over Shell. That's interesting.
That's what I was about to say. That's the choice. That's the trade-out that these solo laners are making. Instead of picking up Shell, they're picking up Hand of the Gods. So they're looking to get pressure in the early game instead of trading out their late game team fight. But neither was able to really make an impact with their Hand of the Gods. But that's kind of the point, is that if one solo picks up Hand of the Gods, you're sort of forcing the other one to do so as well. But it ends up benefiting eUnited here, because that means that no Shell is on the table for Scary D, because he felt like he needed beads.
Well, PolarBearMike, how are you going to get out of this one? First of all, he'll jump over Sobek's head and run down the lane as quick as he can. Venenu tried to support, but it's Venenu caught out by trying to support. I'm a Monster's procced, and he's looking for the kill. Nice stun from Homiefe. Will set him up, but now Scream's here for the turnaround. Aegis used on andinster, and Jigz with a good bit of peel will separate it. So it's Venenu that was trying to help too much, but PolarBearMike may try to help pressure a little bit more now that PandaCat's back.
Love Andy leaving that crush on the ground so that Scream can't get through. PBM finds the double stun onto Homie, but with PandaCat lurking, can't quite find it. Zap, no ult, no relics, but stun off the mark there from PandaCat. Love what andinster does there. Actually cancels the I'm a Monster in order to Aegis the slice and dice in a 4-frame window. I mean, that was super quick, and that's not intuitive. You want to use that extra movement speed, the CC immunity, to get away with I'm a Monster, but Andy knows he would have died there. Really quick reaction time. It saves his life.
So they do pick up a kill SpaceStation and get away with it on that left-hand side. That was mainly by PolarBearMike and PandaCat. They got the tier 1, were stuck around a little bit too long for their own liking, and Venenu tries to support, ends up getting caught.
Exactly. Just again, has to worry about his positioning moving forward for sure, because that, yes, you get some damage there, but you're trying to help out your support.
Yeah.
But no support wants their mid laner to die to save their life. That's just never going to be the call.
Never going to be the case. Zap going to actually get disarmed there by PolarBearMike. Nice play by PBM against a former teammate of his, Zapman. Yep. Those two have lain together before in the past.
PBM's on point today. His hammer accuracy has been very impressive. His stealing away the Gold Fury, the timings of his hammer has been really good. Clearly just thinking at a very quick pace, using the disarm just to make sure. Could have used the disarm to body block his own board, but instead use it on Zap.
Nice from Jigz. He's just going to throw his body in the way to make sure andinster doesn't get hit by that, even if it was on target, which it wasn't at the time. Our ward is down there from eUnited, so they've got Gold Fury control, pressuring Zap again, but the ricochet off the mark from PandaCat. He does have Devour's Gauntlets though, so he's not going to take too much damage here, but with SpaceStation now grouping as 3, and with Scylla coming back, eUnited have to be very careful, but look where Scream is. Look where Benji is.
Look where Benji is between the 2 towers. Going to stop Andy from getting in there very easily. Scream could loop around the back at any given moment, just waiting to see where andinster is going to go.
Scream going to get plucked by Jigz there.
Crit.
Gold Fury is still being tagged here. Homiefe trying to keep an eye on that as Jigz has to look at the walls defensively. I'm a Monster pop by Andy, but Gold Fury's already down, going the way of eUnited. The I'm a Monster hits PandaCat, but Panda going to use the Aegis very, very late. The stun comes into play, but still leaps away. Lord of the Afterlife from Homiefe will allow Scary D to pick up the killer. Scream on this right-hand side looking for andinster. Forced to beats to get away, and ScaryD gonna CC Scream to high heaven, looking for the cleanup, and the life tap should be good. Venenu forced to dash away from Zap, who's still giving chase with ScaryD in tow now. The knockup is good, but the beads was better. Cancelled out, it wasn't beads at all, it was an ultimate. There's the Aegis from Venenu too to keep buying him time, but Zap gets another kill, and SpaceStation could be getting back in this.
They certainly could. Only 2 frontliners left, and Benji still looking for the fight though with PBM, because both still very healthy. PBM knocked down below half HP quickly from the damage of all of SpaceStation. Benji's still full HP here. No. SpaceStation needs to be careful.
And ScaryD out of mana too, so just keep an eye on this. This chase could continue for a while. Nice use of the crush just for the slow to keep eUnited at bay. These guys are just going to continue charging this down for a while, I feel. Make sure they can't lazy back quickly to get back to this fight. This gives time for their teammates to respawn and for themselves to potentially look at this red buff.
Very smart. Make sure that SpaceStation can't get that portal demon to allow their teammates to come back after that.
There you go.
andinster almost falls to Benji with the salmon leap. Really like what SpaceStation was able to do there, just to re-engage. And it's actually PandaCat who messed up during that engagement, because he was about to get hit by I'm a Monster and hit Beads Aegis as a panic. Aegis was too late because Beads came out first, and then he gets rooted and stunned and can't use the Beads because he used them in panic. That ends up throwing that whole fight in SpaceStation's favor.
Well, Golfio's going to go down here, and actually stolen by Homiefe. Okay, SpaceStation, we're back in this. If you mentioned of less than 15 minutes, we were saying it's a 5k gold lead. It's about the same again right now. So SpaceStation, as you can see, starting to creep this back to an even game.
That's a big play by Homie, just to get a little bit more global gold and XP for SpaceStation, but more importantly, keeping it out of the hands of eUnited, who are pretty close to finishing off some big power items. Rod up to Hootie almost done for Ben.
Jig's going to pluck PandaCat into an awkward spot. Tail whip won't get him away from danger just yet, because PandaCat leaps under the water towards andinster, but andinster's in those flames, and Homiefe with the Lord of the Afterlife puts more pressure on PandaCat. PandaCat has no relics, now has no life. Another kill for SpaceStation.
PandaCat forced into a bad spot, and he was pretty patient with that ultimate. I thought he might use it right off the root, knowing the PandaCat had no relics, but instead lets Homiefe set up for him. Nice pick there. Panda just cannot be in that situation without any relics.
So they get a tier 1 tower mid, and SpaceStation recognizing oracles, Portal Demon's down and the Gold Fury too. Swing to the left-hand side looking for this tier 1 tower. This should be relatively free. eUnited just need to make sure they don't lose the tier 2, or at least too much pressure on it for free.
And it's just staying in mid to protect his own tier 1, making sure that eUnited can't give up 500 on the left or 500 in mid, as you mentioned. This is probably free. Smart play.
Oh, but andinster's in a bit of a tricky spot now, because slowed inside the jungle. Obviously, no beads to get him away from the danger. And the beads from Scream to keep the speed going. Obviously, with speed buff too. And he's going to get a good root off on Scream, and that's going to annoy him. But mobility is key, and andinster's going to try and run around as quickly as the little girl can go. If she had feet, she might be quicker.
But the Aegis was a little bit too late. I'll try to react to it.
She's got tentacle wolves. That's the issue. No legs.
You think? But she moves so fast whenever she goes up on the tentacles.
Imagine when Scylla's a little bit older, so she gets more movement speed because she's taller, so she strides further.
What is that, Season 6? That's going to be your new passive?
Oh, we're leaking stuff this early? Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Season
why not?
6.
Sure.
I'll say it.
Confirmed.
Season 6, Scylla is young adult.
Young adult
Scylla. Let's just call it that. Table time, the mid will go down from eUnited here. ScaryD was just trying to get some farm, but he's going to meet Scream, who's happy to box anybody right now. With PolarBearMike turning up, hammer time comes into play. ScaryD forced to beat, and now PolarBearMike could chase some more. In with the leap, which guarantees a stun, followed up by a ricochet from PandaCat, and the hammer means that the bear falls down, and everybody has a nice little taunt time over the corpse of ScaryD.
PBM's playing lights out today. Finds the stun to interrupt the dash for ScaryD, then immediately transforms. Scary uses his beads to try and get away, but PBM's right back on point with another 2 stuns waiting for Scary whenever he turns into that dragon form.
Why do we say lights out and not lights on?
Because
Isn't lights out a bad thing?
No, he's closing it down. Just no chance of messing up. Lights aren't even on. It's over with.
Okay, that makes some sense. Because I'm like, well, lights out means really strange. It doesn't...
No, lights out, like you can shut it down. Game's over because PBM, he turned him out.
Okay, well, let's find out, because I don't think it's lights out just yet for SpaceStation. They are still in this game, and it's just starting to creep towards level 20. The best news is they've kind of traded Scylla getting level 20 before Venenu, who's a level up on andinster. But Zapman has got some lead over PandaCat now, and Jing late game with the crit build that's coming through, as you can see, will start to swing and cause problems.
And that can definitely be a boon for SpaceStation, as They aren't able to secure away those oracles, but at this stage of the game, a team's either doing Gold Fury because they can do it and they've killed all of you, or you're out of position, or they aren't. So the Oracle Vision not really impactful at 25 minutes whenever there have been this many kills back and forth. But Zap has definitely got to be the focal point for eUnited. Screammmmm has been looking for andinster for the most part with these Divine Retributions. It's time to switch those over to Zapman, but the problem is Zap's on a Jing who's incredibly mobile. No chance for Screammmmm to chase him down if Zap were to use the ultimate and the dash to get away. So Screammmmm can still try and target out andinster, but someone has got to try and handle Zap.
It is a good comp, though, to deal with a Jing when you look at the fact they've got a Nox as well as the fact Nemesis can chase you down in the back line. That'll help. Or you don't need either of those two characters. You just get PolarBearMike and PandaCat to do the dirty work for you. Gold Fury being done as they did find that kill on the left-hand side. And meanwhile, the rest of the team is just pressuring mid to make sure nobody can stop the Gold Fury being taken.
Zap just looks a little rusty to me. I think that the no relic usage there when you're getting stunned out 2v1. I know Panda had already used his CC in that scenario, but you just have to know how much damage a Hui is going to do to you if he's already thrown the mark on top of you.
You talk about rust. I mean, he did take a bit of a split off during the summer too, so coming back into it, he may have to find his groove again at the moment. It's not working out great for the whole team of SpaceStation. They're still not out of it though, I keep saying that, but Homiefe in trouble, knocked up just inside the Suns, and one life goes down. Make that 4 dead right now for SpaceStation, and all that's left is Scary D, the only little bear on his own. Gonna try and contest this fire giant.
But PandaCat knows he's here. Scary does find the dash and not interrupted this time around, but immediately back to the fire giant. eUnited will be able to secure their first one of the game for free. And going back to what I was saying about Zapman, he still clearly has the mechanics. The decision making is still there. I just know that Season 3 Zapman can stand there in that 2v1 and either force eUnited to make a mistake or survive and get out and live to fight another day. He's just, it's those half-second sort of hesitations, even less than that really, that could end up opening the door for the opposition. I think Zapman in Week 4 doesn't make that mistake. It's just that coming back into competitive play, even with all the scrims that I'm sure he's doing behind the scenes and everything like that, is just going to be that much tighter when it comes to the decision making and what he's going to be doing on the field.
Well, now United have the Fire Gen and that Portal Demon. They're just going to rotate straight towards the mid lane again. Venenu just heading back to base, and it looks like he's also going to be picking up a Chronos Pendant as his next item here. How are you feeling about Chronos Pendant?
I think Chronos Pendant is excellent as a 5th or 6th item. It's just far too expensive to get earlier than that. It's PolarBearMike taunts because he just stole red buff from andinster, which is actually pretty impactful at this stage of the game, and Zapman avoids that combination. Love the decision making there from Ven to go into PolarBearMike
and Mike
to make sure that you're not going to be taking any of that damage.
I noticed that Mike, realizing that he was still in the crush, so leaps too to avoid the damage on top of that, supports his team. Bit of a split push from United. Benji pressuring right. Speed buffs available for Benji though, so he'll go and take that as 3 members group in the mid lane. Obviously plenty of control here with a Fafnir and that Nox. So Scary D has to show up as well to try and make sure the pressure's relieved for now. It's leaving Screammmmm versus Zap on the left-hand side, which I don't expect either of them are really going to die here.
Relics, Aegis was actually used by Zapman as Screammmmm looked like he hit him with the Blink ultimate. Zap should be able to defend this tower. He's got the ranged auto attacks, and he's got the Deathbringer. He's got the Poison Star as well. Plenty of crit in that build.
Yeah, this is just a pressure situation for United, using this Fire Giant to their advantage, and actually going to pick up Jigz, who clearly ate a hammer from PolarBearMike there as well. There's the ult from Venenu, just splitting the uprights, unfortunately, but it does give enough room there for the tier 2 to fall. Screammm's now been left alone on the left.
Nice American football term there.
It's in every term.
Splitting the uprights?
Rugby.
Really? They use that in rugby?
Mm-hmm.
It's an American football term.
Right.
I've heard your argument and decided I didn't like it.
Okay. Tier 2 towers everywhere. Falls in quick succession at 29 minutes in, and now it's Phoenix's remaining. Jigz is dead for another 10 seconds, which means the only real frontline they've got is this Artio and the Homiefe on the Osiris. I don't like Homie on the Osiris. I love Homie as a player. I think he's one of the best in North America. I just don't think it's his style. I want to see him go in and be Ham, be the assassin, be the destroyer of worlds.
What happened to Homie Thor, man? I just want to watch Homie Thor.
Well, Thor was banned, I believe, in this game.
Yeah,
so that makes sense.
after they picked Osiris.
Ryan Phoenix goes down. Middle Phoenix now being sieged up. All 5 members of SpaceStation are back. Jigz leading the charge at only level 15. With the support Scary D looking towards PandaCat, who jukes out nicely to avoid the charge. Now it's Scary D and Jigz on the run. Backside though, Andinster's been left alone. Beads and Aegis used to get away. A Screammmmm pressured him out from the Phoenix on the left-hand side. The rest of eUnited still sieging mid.
This has been a 4v5 with Screammmmm cleaning up the pieces of whatever falls behind for SpaceStation. Mid Phoenix does fall to the hand of PandaCat. Decent damage coming out of andinster, who still has that I'm a monster, but he knows he can't step up anymore because Scream forced out both of his relics near the fountain.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of a word for eUnited's performance today, just a single word, because I've got one for SpaceStation, which is disappointing.
I think disappointing is the perfect word to sum up what we've seen from SpaceStation so far today. But it's only week one. This isn't a loss against a team that, you know, is way beneath you in skill level. eUnited is right there with SpaceStation in terms of what the expectations are for the rest of the
Like
squad.
from Scream, he's going to get pressure onto andinster, who has no relics. Remember, we know that from before. Zapman going to get away this time just about. Red buff will go down to eUnited, and they're pretty much just continuing to keep this pressure up.
Gold Fury about to respawn. The one word for eUnited's performance, I think it would be impressive. I think that they worked together very well. They made the individual plays very well, and they didn't show a lot either. This is not a composition that other teams, you know, would be surprised by.
Sure.
Maybe the double Nemesis ult comp, yeah, that can kind of catch you off guard. But everything else, if you didn't know Scream played Nemesis, then you haven't really been paying attention. Venenu, his Nox has been good, and certainly something that you have to keep in mind moving forward, but no surprise that PandaCat plays Hui. It's not like they came out with some crazy team composition and they caught SpaceStation by surprise. They just were the better team today.
Completely agree. Fire Giant about to spawn in 20 seconds time, as will the Portal Demon soon after that. So that's what eUnited will pay attention to for the time being. SpaceStation looking to try and defend these Phoenixes, which will respawn, well, in quite a while. I guess you try to all in the Fire Giant here. There's not really many other options left, really, is there?
Two Phoenixes.
Just all in it and hope for the best. You win the fight, you're potentially back in it. You lose the fight, you're going home anyway.
I think I'm a fan of waiting around the back Harpies grouped as 5 and popping out and trying to pick 1 or 2 people, because you're not too far from your base. You still have somewhere to run if necessary, and you're never going to get the Fire Giant. You're just too far extended. There's too many places to run by the Fire Giant.
I thought you were going to say, I'm a big fan of 5-man in back Harpies because we can't do anything else.
I mean, sometimes that's what you got to do. Farm is farm. Man, I'll take it.
What, even as a 5-man though?
Oh yeah.
It's not really farm then at that point, is it?
Well, at 32
it's like
minutes when we're
sprinkle.
Yeah, it's a little taste.
It's like a sprinkle. 32 minutes.
A pinch
into this game.
It's a pinch of farm.
A pinch of farm.
If there was a recipe, it would be a pinch of farm.
Well, that pinch is definitely
Doesn't that drive
needed.
you crazy when you're following a recipe and it says a pinch of this? I'm
How much is a
reading a
pinch?
recipe to get explicit instructions so I don't mess this up.
I mean, a pinch is literally what it says it is.
My fingers are different sizes than your fingers.
That's true.
Who's writing it? Maybe they've got monstrous hands.
I forget what to say if I did. Anyway, that's how the story of this game's gone pretty much. We've been discussing condiments. If Tom was here, we'd be having hot dog talk too.
Well, duh.
The Phoenix on the left-hand side is being chipped at as 2 members of eUnited yet again. I love the decisions to split the map. They don't group as 5 eUnited. They're trying to keep them busy and everywhere at the same time.
But it's the 2 mobile gods that can get to the fight quickly that are split off. It's not 2 gods that can get caught flat-footed and not be there to help in case of emergency.
4 members in the mid lane now, as Benji's still on the right-hand side. That Phoenix is about to respawn, so it makes sense to be grouped in the side. The Phoenix is a little bit better to defend itself earlier on these times. Sun's come down, and a quick whip from Benji, and that ultimate will help to make sure they do pick up that Phoenix. And now the fight unfolds, and a big ult from Venenu.
Zap probably going to fall before he even gets to the fountain. Scream finds Jigz as well. I'm a monster waiting for andinster, but who do you even hit? Everyone's full HP. No one's even scared of it.
Beautiful performance from eUnited, and they deservedly get a 2-0 over SpaceStation.
They're looking like a top team right now, man. Only week 1. Early to make a final call on them for sure, but this is a squad that had the makings of a really strong team during summer and spring. Now they've got a new mid laner in Venenu, but clearly has the talent to be a top mid laner as well. And the rest of the squad is starting to show a lot more cohesion, and that's what leads eUnited looking that good.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was a really good performance from them today overall. SpaceStation, we said it, like the one word, disappointed. That was the problem. Like they had the ability there, they've got the plan, it just didn't execute well.
Almost there. And again, who knows?
It's week 1.
Maybe it's week 1. Maybe that's just eUnited. Maybe eUnited is just going to look like world beaters against everyone, and SpaceStation can come out and look really good, and it was more eUnited beating down SpaceStation than SpaceStation underperforming. I do think it was more eUnited playing well than SpaceStation underperforming, but there are some little things that SpaceStation still needs to work on. Picks and bans seem close, but not quite there, and Zapman still almost has it back. I still think in 2 weeks we're going to be back to seeing old Zapman instead of what we saw today.
Well, with that, it's time to head over to the desk to round out the day and give you a recap of exactly what happened in North America this weekend.
Thanks, Hindu and Aggro. Welcome back to the analyst desk yet again. Taco rotating in for Aggro. Some epic sets today, honestly. SpaceStation Gaming, this all-star lineup that we thought would just dominate, not pulling it through today.
Yeah, Aggro said it best already. Disappointment seems to be the leading factor here, but not all to blame. I mean, when you're pulling up an entirely new squad, and it feels like a new squad, you're bringing in Scary D, he's a brand new solo laner to this team at least, and you're also bringing Zapman back from his previous break in the summer split, so kind of reasonable that they're not going to find as much success as eUnited were able to in this set.
It seems that eUnited came with a game plan. You were talking about it behind the scenes of how they really sat in Zap's lane and didn't really allow him to breathe.
Now, Verizial was all over the place, or rather known as Screammmmm, yet again with that name change, and all around, he was really on point with this Nemesis gameplay. It seemed like the perfect pick against the lineup that SpaceStation was trying to make happen. That warrior frontline you had Homiefe trying to represent on the Osiris jungle never really came to fruition just because Nemesis shutting him down all over the place.
Yeah, but you got to think about it, the Nemesis pick, it's almost like counterintuitive if you think about it, because Artio can cripple you, preventing you from dashing away, or at least forcing the beads, but it seems that it was used more offensively to shut down Scary D playing the Artio.
The problem with Scary D on the Artio wasn't necessarily the counter cripple, but when you're trying to avoid the Nemesis ultimate, I mean, you're losing, your protections are getting absolutely shredded, your health bar is already being depleted to halfway, and on top of all of that, everybody's trying to help Scary D get away. So as they're chasing after Scary D and everybody else in the backline that's pushing forward to really provide him that little barrier to keep pushing through, it just ultimately ended up falling apart for SpaceStation because people would end up dying that they didn't want to go down.
And unfortunately for SpaceStation in Game 2, they were kind of into it until that Gold Fury steal and then Zap dying at the end. That was just really well performed by United.
That was PolarBearMike in his prime. That was one of those support plays that you don't even anticipate it to happen because Zapman ate the hammer stun, so you think that they can secure it, and then before you know it, PBM just jumps forward, and there's your secure.
Well, with that 2-0 victory for eUnited, though, let's talk about the set before that. ALG versus SPL Gatekeepers. Game 1, a lot of surprise for a lot of fans at home.
It really came down to Gatekeepers getting that strong run on the objectives within, it was like a 2.5, 3 minute time period where it just Portal Demon into Gold Fury, into Fire Giant, and even though all things considered, it was a very even game, and ALG was definitely given a run for their money by the Gatekeepers, but when you have that much of a swing coming through, it's all too easy to secure the towers. Towers mean way too much gold, and that snowball effect of the 10K plus just funneled into a massive experience lead that ALG could not recover from.
Well, luckily for ALG, they weren't discouraged from their Game 1 loss. Game 2, they came in with a great game plan of shutting down Day to remember.
And it worked out excellently. Weekend was all over the place as far as ganking out that Scotty in the duo lane, not giving him any breathing room, and that's exactly what you need to do. Commit to the warrior jungle, and a lot of people get raised questions whenever they see an Osiris in the jungle because they're like, what can he really provide to a team fighting scenario? And it's not necessarily the team fight, although that's pretty efficient as well. It's the fact that he has that tower diving potential so early on. They continue to abuse Day in his jungle, and he could not even secure his own purple and red buffs, and when the carries fall that far behind, not much else you can do. Well,
raising a lot of questions also in other positions here for Man-Ra's Vulcan. How would you rate his performance today?
I don't blame Man-Ra's Vulcan. I do think that it's just such a difficult scenario when you're trying to fight back on this mage who's meant to be a hard carry alongside a Day, but when your Scotty and Vulcan are that far behind and there's a Fafnir, a Chulainn, and an Osiris in front of you, how are you planning or intending to deal any sort of damage when your entire squad's behind? A lot of the times as well, his ultimates just had to be rushed off, it felt like, because Cyclone was all over the place with that blink of Chulainn. His engages were on point. They accomplished the mission that they needed to, which was just preventing Man-Ray from really participating in the team fight.
Well, I'm sure SPL Gatekeepers are really happy after their first game victory, splitting with ALG. So if we take a look at the North American standings, we're going to see how it transpired today. eUnited finding that 2-0 impressive victory against SpaceStation. Luminosity scooping away Aquarius, scooping away Noble. Trifecta finding their victories as well. And we got a split between SPL Gatekeepers and Team Allegiance.
But all those other teams being left with 3 points in the lead, this is a pretty it's a lot more clean cut from NA today as opposed to what we saw in EU yesterday.
Don't forget, guys, at home, that if you log on to Smite now, you're going to be able to receive 150 gems for that first win of the day. It's raining gems in Smite, but please, guys, at home, also be careful that hurricane if you're in the Florida or Georgia area. Stay safe, stock up on water, and we'll see you guys on Thursday for some more SPL action.